Octopus Balls, a story written and read by George Trombley. Saori heard a car pull into the driveway in front of her house from the main road. She thought, "It must be Yuria." She pushed her body off of the wooden chair, using the table to steady her, and grabbed the cane her father had used more than 20 years ago. The floor creaked as it had for the last 40 years. It was only a few meters to the house entrance area, but Saori wanted to meet Yuria at the door. She opened the sliding door between the living room area and the hall. A picture of her mother and father, taken on the day they opened up their laundry service, Clean Plus, was hanging on the wall across from her. In the picture, her parents were younger than both Yuria and her son Toka, who were now 56 and 47 respectively. The housemate bot met Saori in the hallway and offered a hand to steady her as she walked between the space between the sliding door and the entrance area. It spoke to her. "I will help you to the door." Saori extended her arm toward the housemate bot, and it softly gripped her upper arm, allowing her to balance as she walked. Saori had two housemate bots, which she named Salt and Pepper, because one was painted a shiny metallic white and the other black. Salt and Pepper allowed Saori to live alone despite her advanced age. They gave her children the ability to chase their dreams without the burden of taking care of her. Yuria was a successful artist with galleries in Tokyo, New York, and Oahu. Saori slipped out of her Mickey Mouse slippers, and Salt used its left foot to grab her shoes and help her put them on. The housemate bots were designed with multi-purpose hand-like feet, so Salt was able to provide support and help Saori put her shoes on at the same time. Saori said, "As always, thank you, Salt." Salt responded, "Of course, Mrs. Ozawa. You must be excited to see Yuria." "I am. It's been 4 months since she visited for New Year's." Salt slid open the always unlocked main sliding door to the house, and the fresh spring air of April in northern Japan gently rubbed Saori's wrinkled cheeks. The fragrance of fresh laundry still being hung by Pepper permeated her airways, bringing joyful memories of when her own mother hung clothes in the same spot. Saori heard Yuria's voice. "Mama!" She raised her arm to wave, and Yuria and her husband Yuya, both carrying small bags, walked hurriedly toward her. Japanese aren't known for their affection, even amongst family members, but Yuria wrapped her arms around Saori and gave her a tight embrace. "I missed you. How has Salt been treating you?" "I missed you too," Saori said, burying her neck into Yuria's shoulder. "Salt's been good as always." Yuya reached out his empty hand for a handshake, and Saori said, "You look like you've gained some weight since last time." Yuya laughed. "It's Yuria's fault. She started baking cookies for her baking class, and I have to test every batch." Salt took Yuria and Yuya's bags from them. Yuria grabbed Saori's arm and headed back into the house. "You know they're delicious," Yuria said, raising her eyebrows and squinting her eyes towards Yuya. Yuya agreed. "You're right. I guess I'll just have to do more exercise." Salt brought the bags up to Yuria's old room, still filled with high school trophies and the smell of dried-up water paints. The three of them sat down at the living room table, where dinner had been served by 3 generations, a table that witnessed joyous moments and moments of unbelievable pain. Saori smiled and looked long at Yuria before she spoke. "I'm so happy for your new gallery. I've visited 3 times now in VR. It's beautiful." Yuria created one-of-a-kind ice and snow sculptures that were kept frozen using a new, transparent polymer. The polymer maintained the sculptures at a temperature of -2 degrees, even in the middle of a humid Japan summer. Among many accolades, she had won the Best New Artist Award just 3 years after graduating from Tokyo University of the Arts. It's all because of you, Mama, that I'm an artist. Pepper brought a tray to the table with 3 saucers of rich, cooled green tea and an assortment of sweet cookies and savory rice crackers. Yuria continued speaking. If you hadn't taken me to the Sapporo Snow Festival, I wouldn't have ever wanted to make sculptures. It was your father's idea to go to Sapporo, but I remember you were so mad that I forced you to go, Saori said, smiling as she shook her head. I was worried more about high school than a trip to a place colder than Misawa, she said, laughing. But I'll never forget what you told me near NHK Ice Stage. Saori remembered exactly what she said, but loved to hear it from Yuria. She asked, What did I say? We were sharing a box of takoyaki, and you held up one of the balls on a stick. Tears fell from Yuria's eyes as she remembered the moment. And you said, You see how the sauce isn't even on all sides of the takoyaki? And how in some spots there is more furikake seasoning than other spots? Pepper handed a tissue to Yuria, and she dabbed her tears, trying not to disturb her makeup. I was confused as to what you meant. I remember thinking you were going to tell me how to cook takoyaki, but instead, your words changed my entire perception of the world. Now Saori was also crying as she remembered the moment they stood freezing, surrounded by ice and snow sculptures. You said, the world is just like this takoyaki ball. Then you rotated the ball, showing a side with no sauce or furikake, and you held it in front of my face. I can still smell the takoyaki sauce and see the steam rising from it into the freezing air. You said, when you are on this side of the takoyaki ball, you don't know how delicious the other side of the ball is. And you won't ever know unless you rotate the ball or put it in your mouth and eat it. And every takoyaki ball has a different amount of flavor. Pepper made a soft bell sound and asked, Would you like me to prepare takoyaki balls? All 3 of them laughed at the unexpected accidental joke that Pepper made. Saori kindly said to Pepper, Maybe later, and then looked with love in her eyes back to Yuria. Yuria wiped more tears from her cheeks and continued. You said that my goal in life should be to eat as many takoyaki balls as I can and to discover as many types of takoyaki as I can before I get too old and lose my appetite. Yuria blew her nose. The last thing you said was, Don't let anyone stop you from eating as many takoyaki balls as you can. All this talk of takoyaki is making me hungry, Yuria said. Pepper's soft bell chimed again. Are you sure you don't want takoyaki? All 3 again burst into laughter. Saori smiled and listened to Yuya and Yuria discussing her 90th birthday dinner plans. She thought of Yuria and her son Toka's life, and the life of her 4 grandchildren who visited her every year during New Year's and Obon Festival. They were all the world she needed. They were her favorite flavor of takoyaki. And even though she didn't eat as many takoyaki as she wished she could have when she was younger, she knew Yuria and Toka had both eaten more takoyaki than she could ever have hoped for.